This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So Russ, on our podcast, I would say we talk pretty often about serial killers. Well, today, I'm going to tell you about one of the most infamous serial killers that ever lived. He is one of the guys that started it all. This is an old story, but it's a good one. This is the case of Jack the Ripper. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime.
What's up? We're on time 3 times in a row.
Yes. We're doing good.
I'm always doing good because I'm always ready to say dumb stuff, but Jess won't tell me a story.
Well, we're back. And yeah, it's been a pretty decent week, right, Russ? You had fun. Guess what Russ got today? He got his...
Oh, I got the PS5. And shout out to my boy on Instagram. He hit me up because he listens to the podcast and he tried to help me. And he was saying just look on Twitter and stuff. But I don't really have a Twitter. And then I was like, oh, I could get the Wife of Crime Twitter. But Jess was at work. And it didn't really work out. But he was helping me out. My boy Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle helped you. So thanks, Kyle. And Russ got his PS5, so he's a happy guy. Good for you, Russ.
Life is good.
So we started our Patreon. The last time you guys heard from us, we talked about the Patreon, and we were honestly so shocked and excited that we got such a good response so quickly about it. And yeah, we were so excited about all the people who signed up for the Patreon. So we're going to do our shout outs. And I think I'm going to let Russ do it so we can all laugh at him butchering the names.
I didn't know this was coming, but we had a lot this week, so it might take me a little bit. If you don't like this, probably skip 30 seconds ahead.
So here's all of our patron shout-outs.
These are the homies. All right. So thank you to everyone. It's Allie, Lynn. This one's tough. Amlatte. Amalat. I'm sorry. You're dope. Michelle and Kev. David, Elaine, Natasha, Melanie, Lauren, Carrie, Kay Birch, Gumasi, Carrie, Kelly, Kimberly, Megan, Kate, Michelle, Miss LaFrance, Natalie, and my boy Dave Hockey, Crystal, Leandra, Sarah, Ziana, Sarah, and Raylan.
Woo! Good job, Russ.
I'm out of breath.
So whenever
and
people...
shout out to you guys. Appreciate you. Cheers to you guys.
So whenever we have a new patron sign up, we're going to shout you out on the podcast. And we really appreciate the love and support. If you go to patreon.com, Wife of Crime, the crime family, there's all the tiers there. We do an extra monthly episode called True Crime and Chill, where we watch a documentary, get drunk, and talk about it. And the first one we did was Abducted in Plain Sight. We got a really good response about it. So,
Yo, if you didn't watch that, go check it out. Like, it's mad weird. The dude gives a guy a hand job and everything. It's so weird.
it is so weird. But the episode came out really good, and people really liked it. They thought it was funny. We also give away some merch and everything. So, yeah.
Exclusive merch that you can't really get besides for the Patreon. And it's dope. We appreciate the support. Like, it's crazy. You don't realize, people want to support, and that's really cool. Because we're just, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm just a schlub sitting at a table. Because I was going to say two schlubs, but Jess like, no, I'm not.
I'm not a schlub.
See?
So, thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. And any other announcements, Russ? Or is that it?
I forgot, but I got a PS5. I'm so excited. I had to stop playing to do the podcast. What?
I'm interrupting his joy for
first world problems. I'm downloading the games. It takes a little time, so.
Oh, God. Okay.
It's PS5 day. I feel like it's like when someone has their first child. Well, it's probably like my fifth child, but it would be
because you've had all the PlayStation.
But it would be like the biggest, strongest child, and the other ones were runts.
You're such a video game nerd. It's pretty funny. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this week the story of probably the most infamous serial killer in the world. And in a previous episode, you actually named him as the most infamous serial killer. And I didn't agree with you at the time because I was thinking of the most famous serial killer in America. But the most famous serial killer in the world, the one who's probably the most well-known with people who aren't even into true crime, who do you think that might be? You've named him before.
I think I know who it is. But now I think he takes second place to Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, because he's number one on Netflix. And we'll probably end up doing that on the Patreon where we'll be reviewing that. But I think it would be Jack the Ripper.
Yes, it's Jack the Ripper. And yes, the Richard Ramirez documentary on Netflix is crazy.
Dude, I couldn't sleep. I saw shadows, and I was like, I made sure the bat was near the bed. Like,
he's stalking your dreams.
The rotten tooth villain.
We haven't finished it, but it's crazy.
They need to stop giving them these good-ass names. They should have called him Snaggletooth. Rotten, dead, breath-eating, fish-looking face. Like, it's crazy.
I know. It's a really good documentary, though. Really well done. Highly suggest it. It is number one on Netflix right now. It's crazy.
We haven't finished it. I watched like 1.5 episodes, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, this week we're talking about Jack the Ripper because it is probably the most famous serial killer in the world, and most well-known in the world, and it remains unsolved. They still, to this day, have no idea who Jack the Ripper was. He's
the OG serial killer. Isn't that who Sherlock Holmes was hunting for?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
In my mind, that's all he looked for. That
I
was
have to
like
look
his
it
nemesis.
up. I don't know, actually. I'm not positive if he was. Well, yeah, so he is, the most well-known, and it's still unsolved, which is crazy that to this day it's still unsolved. But I guess back then, you have to think about it, they didn't have DNA evidence, they didn't have all of these, resources to solve crimes the way we do now. So it makes a little bit of sense.
They probably just had to see you do it.
Yeah. I mean, they had investigators.
Or someone could lie on you.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, like, oh, he did it, I saw him. And then if it's a reputable person, obviously it wouldn't be.
It's a rat, you're done.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, you're a rat. And that's it. It's over for you.
All right, so over 100 years ago in the city of London, the people of London were terrorized by...
There's a show called, or it's a video game called...
You're just totally interrupting.
Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper.
Oh, that's cool.
So there might be something to that. More Russ facts that are probably correct.
I honestly don't know who he was hunting. So, possibly. Maybe.
Him and Watson.
Yeah, I know. I know Sherlock Holmes. I guess maybe I'm a bad true crime fan because I don't know enough about Sherlock Holmes. I probably should know more about him.
I don't know if he's fictional or not.
No, I think he was real. Maybe. I don't know. I need to look it up.
All
So
right.
over 100 years ago, the city of London was terrorized by a crazed, sadistic killer. He or she is known to have killed 5 women, but is suspected in the death of up to 11.
That's it?
Yeah. That's it? What do you mean that's it? 5 people are dead.
Richard Ramirez was doing like 2 a night working overtime for the Killers Union.
We're not trying to say that anyone's better than anybody.
Then why is he so
This
famous?
is the original, like one of the first cases of a serial killer documented, and it's still unsolved. That's why. And it's crazy what he does. His crimes are crazy.
Well, it's crazy,
especially back then.
I thought it was going to be like 100.
No.
Because like back then, you kill anyone and no one could see it.
No. It was 5, but suspected to have killed 11. The media would dub these women the canonical 5. The reason they called them the canonical 5 is because the murders happened back to back to back, like within a couple months span of time, and 2 of them happened in the same night.
In canonical order.
No, canonical means like a canon, like boom, 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 boom.
I was trying to figure out what canonical meant. I thought maybe.
No. So like a cannon goes off, boom, boom, boom. So they named them the canonical 5. So the killer specifically focused on an area called the Whitechapel district. And this was like the poor part of town. There was a lot of violence, a lot of crime, poverty. And I think like our UK friends would probably call it the dodgy part of town. I don't know this for sure, but I watch a lot of British TV, so.
Oh, shout out
I think
to
dodgy is like their
the hood.
kind of like the hood or like the slummy part.
The hood.
Yeah, I'm pretty up on British slang.
Shout out to the hood. I grew up in the hood.
You did. Shout out to our UK listeners. We have a bunch.
They call it across the pond.
Yeah, they do.
I'm trying to get a sailboat. Maybe I'll sail to the pond.
So the story of Jack the Ripper was one of the first times in history that there was an actual media frenzy. And this caused like quite a stir in England, and it became incredibly sensationalized. The media got involved. It was like in the newspapers all the time. It was kind of, everyone went a little crazy about this. And this was the first time that anything like this was big in the news. Like we're used to it now. We're used to media frenzies. And
So he was like the first Kardashian.
no, he was a killer. He was the first like sensationalized killer.
I wonder who that was here. Like in the Bronx, it was like Son of Sam.
Well, the first sensational...
Who we did an episode on and we deleted it because we thought the sound was shit.
Yeah.
People got mad at us.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the first like media frenzy of a crime was in America was the Black Dahlia. That was like the first big media frenzy.
We did that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's one
Is
of our
that the one
earlier
that, like,
episodes.
They cut the mouth and made a smile?
Yeah.
Yo, my memory is... That's crazy.
You just got really excited.
Yeah, and it's like I was taking ginkgo biloba. What is that? It's like there's a pill.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's like something for your memory or some, I don't know, Amway used to sell it or something. I don't know. I'm all over the place.
So anyway, this was the first time that a murder or a serial killer was sensationalized by the media. And since the time of these murders, there have been other rippers, like people who have kind of like bit off of Jack the Ripper by kind of doing the same or similar crimes and calling themselves a ripper. And they've come and gone. Like one in the 1970s in Yorkshire, England, and then another one was in Times Square.
In America?
In America.
Wait, so he went from England to America?
No, I just said there were people who took on the moniker of the Ripper, like committed similar crimes, and the media named them the Times Square Ripper or the Yorkshire Ripper. Or
very original, huh?
Yeah, like they copied off of Jack the Ripper. But I'm telling you about the original, the very first.
So they didn't know that his name was Jack.
No, you'll find out they knew his name was Jack.
But
well,
then
he called himself Jack.
Oh, okay. Because if they didn't catch him, I thought there's no way to know. But I'm going to ask questions that'll ruin the story.
Yes,
Similar story all the time.
Yeah. So you have to wait until later when he names himself, because he eventually names himself.
All right, I'll be quiet. I have questions, but I'll wait.
Okay. Are you ready?
I thought we started. Yes.
Okay. So to set the stage, it is 1800s in England. It's 1880s, actually. And at this time, London was becoming like super popular and overpopulated because all of these people, immigrants and stuff, were moving to London because it's an up-and-coming city and they're trying to find work.
It's like New York, but you know how you clear it out? You just start a pandemic and you get rid of all the hipsters and that's it. You're walking down the street and you get punched in the face again.
You love that everyone left New York City.
Yo, it's the best. If you left, don't come back. You ain't cut from the cloth that could make it here. Frank Sinatra said it. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
It's true.
And you can't.
Well, everyone was moving to London. And I actually wrote it in my notes that at this time, it's like, New York in the 1980s. Because New York got super overpopulated, but it was overridden with crime, drugs, prostitution. A lot of bad shit was happening in the late 80s, early 90s in New York City.
A lot of crack.
And that's kind of how London was becoming. Parts of London were
but it was good.
Okay, but my point is that there was a lot of, bad stuff happening, a lot of crime, drugs, and violence, especially in the area that Jack the Ripper started killing people. And this was an area where there were a lot of slums and a lot of immigrants that had just moved in. Okay?
Did they migrate from, like, other places? Like,
yeah, that's what an immigrant is.
No, I meant, like, did it mostly come from, like, I don't know.
A particular place?
Yeah.
No. Just people were moving there for work.
Because, like, back in the day, people would always, like, travel for religious persecutions and stuff.
Oh, no. They were coming to find work in factories and stuff.
Okay.
So the year is 1888, and it's the early morning of August 31st. Like, probably 3 in the morning. Like, kind of the middle of the night, early morning. And 2 men, a man named Charles Cross and another man named Robert Paul, they're walking down the street. They're not together, but they both see something in the distance, and it looks like a body on the sidewalk, like in the middle of the street. So they walk over there, and they see that it's a woman dead, and her throat is slit, and she's disemboweled. So all of her insides, her intestines, are out of her body, laying next to her.
That means he, like, pulled them out?
Yeah. So, like, ripped her open, and her intestines fell out.
That's very excessive.
It is. So police show up, and somehow, I don't know how, they determined that the woman had only been dead about a half hour. And, I guess that...
Maybe by the temperature of the body?
Yeah, maybe because she didn't look like she'd been there for a long time.
Because I don't think they invented science yet.
Yes,
at that point, in 1800 and stuff.
Science. Shut up.
They did not invent it.
That was the dumbest comment I've ever heard.
Science wasn't there yet.
Yes, it was. What are you talking about?
Science was like, they'll pick something up and drop it. Like, wow, the Earth has gravity. I named that gravity.
Okay, whatever. So, I mean, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, they didn't have science.
Okay.
It wasn't invented. What year was science invented? We got to look that up.
They determined that the woman had been dead about, a half hour or a short time. So that means that the killer, they just missed it. Like, these 2 men walked up, and it had just recently happened.
So, yeah, because I wonder, how do they call the police back then?
I don't know.
Hit them with a New York, and then everybody, like
congregates.
Yeah. And then you just throw it down someone else.
Maybe they just, like, run to the police station. I don't know. Somehow they got a hold of the police, and the police showed up, and this woman...
So they show up to the police station with their top hat on, they're sweating, and they say... Good afternoon. There's a body over there. That's my accent. Last time I did an accent, someone gave us a 1-star review and said I was racist.
That's true. They did. They did.
Bad accent don't mean you're racist.
No.
It means you're bad at accents.
You're the least racist person I know.
No, I hate everyone equally. I hate everybody.
So anyway, they determined that this killing had just happened because the woman hadn't been there very long. I don't know how they determined it, but they did. And this woman's name was Mary Ann Nichols. And this is the first Jack the Ripper victim. Then, on September 8th, 1888, which, by the way, August 31st, that's our anniversary. September 8th is my birthday. So these are pretty significant dates to us, although this was in the 1800s. I just found it weird.
So we are linked to the Ripper.
We're linked to Jack the Ripper. So September 8th, 1888, the body of another woman was found on Hanbury Street, not too far from the first body, and it was discovered by a guy named John Davis. This woman's name was Annie Chapman, and similar to the first victim, she had her throat slit as well. She was also disemboweled, but the difference is that this victim had her womb cut out. Her womb had been removed, like surgically. So this made the...
Surgically, like, cut everything else around it and precisely?
Well, whoever it was located the womb, cut it out, and took it. It was gone. It wasn't just hanging out.
Oh, it was gone.
Yes. So this made the medical examiner at the time, Dr. George Baxter Phillips, he proposed the idea that this person knows something about anatomy and possibly is in medicine.
So science was invented then because Russ, the researcher, did look up the earliest roots of science. I want to know when science was invented.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the earliest science can be traced to ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia around 3,500 to 3,000 BC.
So there you go. So they did have science.
But that ain't really science. If you don't have like a microwave, science wasn't invented yet.
Shut up, Russ.
Or TV. How you don't have a TV?
You're an idiot.
What were they watching?
Shut up. You can't just say science like a broad... There are many factors and many different branches of science.
Good science.
Anyway, so this victim was different because the womb had been removed and taken from the body. And like I said, they thought, okay, this person might be in medicine.
Might be a cannibal.
Might be a doctor. Yeah, could be a cannibal, but knows how to locate the womb and take it. Then, on September 27th, the local newspaper receives a letter. And it reads, and I'm going to read it in the worst English accent you've ever heard. Are you ready?
Cringe.
Dear boss.
People that have English accents are just like 10% more attractive instantly.
Dear boss, I keep on hearing... Okay, I'm not doing it. I keep on hearing that the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk of being on the right track. That joke about the leather apron gave me a real fit. I am down on whores and shan't quit ripping them until I get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me in my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with it, but it went thick like glue and I couldn't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. Ha ha. The next job I do, I will clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for a jolly. Wouldn't you keep this letter back until I do a bit more work, then give it out straight? My knife so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get the chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind giving me the trade name. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it, no luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now. Ha ha. That's the letter that they
So
received.
he's killing hookers.
Yes, he's killing hookers. Mm-hmm.
And his next victim, he's going to Mike Tyson him.
Well, he's going to take the ear off. Well, that's what he says he's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the letter caused a lot of controversy because it wasn't released to the public right away. It wasn't released until 5 days later. And
should you release letters like that, though? Because you're going to cause a frenzy. I would only release it if it's going to help.
Well,
how does it help to release it?
I feel like if they would have released it, then people might be a little bit more,
maybe
on edge.
The hookers will go on vacation for a little bit till he gets caught.
Well, yeah, like people would be a little more scared and a little more on edge and not as, trusting of people and maybe looked out for themselves a little more.
Huh.
So they didn't release it for 5 days. And a rumor started going around that it was a fake and that it was in fact made by a journalist just to stir the pot, kind of make things a little more interesting.
Journalists are sleazy. We learned this from the movies.
Some journalists are just trying to find the truth. It depends on the situation, I think.
Yeah, but they're not detectives.
No, they're not detectives, but journalists. There's a place where journalists do good work, where they investigate, like the movie Spotlight, where they investigated all the priests that were molesting the kids. Those were all journalists that exposed them.
Yeah, but what about the movie we just watched with the Atlanta bombing? That was a good movie.
It was a show. Yeah.
Yeah, and the journalist was a piece of crap.
Yeah, she was. It was that show.
Very selfish.
Manhunt.
You sure?
Yeah, it was the second season of the show Manhunt. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. My brother's in there as an extra. He's like one of the FBI agents in the cabinet.
Yes. Yeah.
Shout out to you, Dave. You're famous.
Yeah, Dave was an extra in that show.
Yo, 5 seconds of fame, more than I got.
It's true. So, anyway, the letter caused some controversy because it wasn't released for 5 days, and then people started saying it was a fake and that it was just a journalist stirring the pot, trying to make the case crazier and more interesting. But whether it's true or not, the serial killer name stuck, and from then on, he would be known as Jack the Ripper. Before the letter was released to the public, on September 30th, another woman was found dead. This woman's name was Elizabeth Stride, and she was found by a man named Louis Deemschutz. So Elizabeth's throat was slit, but the rest of her body was untouched, and this led investigators to believe that the killer might have been interrupted during this killing, and he couldn't finish the job.
That's a very traditional crime. You kill the person, you move on.
Well, but he didn't disembowel her, so they thought maybe someone interrupted him and he ran after he slit her throat. But she still died, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
So it had been determined that she had only been dead about 30 minutes before she was found as well. I don't know why they keep thinking it's only 30 minutes.
I think that this person who always shows up to say how long they've been dead always says 30 minutes. This is his shtick, the 30-minute coroner.
But suddenly, about an hour or a little less than an hour later, another body was discovered down the street and around the block from Elizabeth's body. And it was in a place called Mitre Square, which is kind of a famous place in England. So this woman's name was Catherine Eidos. Her body was severely mutilated, really bad, way worse than the last one. And her left kidney and her uterus were both removed and gone away from the body.
Wonder what he does with it.
I don't know.
Fillet it?
So the killer then ran from that murder, and he ran back in the direction towards the first body. So he kind of ran back towards police.
How do they know this?
Because he dropped a piece of evidence. The only piece of evidence in the Jack the Ripper case. And it was a small shred of Catherine's apron.
Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. You can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. You guys already know because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain.
then Via Hemp is for you because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com, wifeofcrime1 for 15% off your first order.
So this piece of fabric was later determined to be Catherine's apron, and it was found by a guy named Robert Long.
That may be evidence, but how is that helpful evidence?
Because it has blood on it, it has his fingerprint, it has DNA, touch DNA on it.
That's not evidence back then. Science wasn't invented yet.
No, it's not evidence back then, but it's the only thing they had. The only thing in the whole, out of all these murders, was this one shred of fabric.
In my opinion, I don't think something is evidence unless it's useful.
Well, just wait. So, this piece of fabric was found, and near the fabric was a message written in chalk.
They had chalk back then?
Yes, they had chalk back then. And there was a message, and it was written in chalk, and it said, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing." And it was written right next to
Is that anti-Jew or pro-Jew?
The Jews are the men that will not be blamed. Wait.
It's the way he's saying it. I'm not sure if he hates them or loves them.
I don't know. The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing. Not be blamed for nothing.
They will not be blamed.
No.
I mean, does he want? I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Why do they talk like that? That's why, like, in school, Shakespeare books were so stupid. They talk like that, and then they want you to write a stupid paper on it, and you know what I would do? Not write it.
I loved Shakespeare.
You would.
I did. I loved it. Romeo and Juliet. Oh. So a few days later, a postcard was delivered to the police department, and it was dated October 1st. And it read, "I was not kidding, dear old boss, when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Saucy Jackie's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number one squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off, and had not the time to get ears for police. Thanks for keeping last letter back till I got work again. Jack the Ripper." So he was pretty much saying,
why he didn't finish.
Yeah, why he didn't finish that one. And thanks for not releasing the last letter until a few days later.
He writes backwards, and, like, that's why I'm confused. Probably, like, someone who took Shakespeare and really loved it would probably be able to know.
So they believed that this letter was not fake, and it was the real Jack the Ripper. And then on October 13th, the police search every house in the area. Now they're, like, flipping everything. They're trying to find this guy. So they're going in everybody's house. They're going everywhere,
and back
really
then,
searching.
Laws weren't invented yet either, so
yes,
you didn't need
warrants.
warrants.
Laws. That's why there were police.
Yeah, but they didn't have, no.
They hung people in the street back then.
Yeah,
there were definitely laws.
Yeah, off hearsay, not off science.
But there were laws.
No, so they could. I bet, was there warrants back then?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Well, they just went.
They probably had
searched
to create.
everyone's house.
They probably had to create warrants because the police will just turn things upside down. Yeah.
But this is also in a different country than ours, so I don't know how their laws work and stuff.
Well, it was probably, I don't know, probably better than here because we're all fucked up.
So on October 16th, a guy named George Lusk, who was the head of the local vigilante committee. So they were like a little vigilante group who used to help cops catch bad guys. They were like the neighborhood watch, I would say, but like a little more extreme because they would actually catch people.
Like the
take them to police.
What is it? The Guardian Angels in New York.
Oh yeah, like them, but these guys would like try to arrest people too, and they'd probably kill somebody if they. I mean, they'd probably get away with it because they help police all the time.
Because there was no science. How would they get caught anyway? No cameras.
No science. I'm so.
No, but I'm very pro street justice all the time, just for the record.
No, I know you are. So this guy named George Lusk, he was like the head of this vigilante group, and he received a box on his doorstep.
What's in the box?
Yeah. So
that's where they got that from. Seven. That's that movie's called.
Where Seven got that from? The box?
What's in the box?
But did you know what was in the box at the end of Seven?
I don't remember the movie. I only remember that part.
Oh, well, they don't
Probably a head.
Well, they don't actually tell you if it's the head or if it's something else. But it's a great movie.
Maybe it was just a present.
No, it definitely wasn't. He totally lost his mind when he opened the box. So George Lusk, he gets this box on his doorstep, and it's signed "From Hell." And in the box was a human kidney.
That's what was in the other box, guaranteed.
No. At first, police thought it was the missing kidney from Catherine, the one of the victims. But later, they found out that it was actually a prank played by a medical student who just wanted to jump in and shake things up.
That's pretty funny.
So people were clearly not taking this very seriously.
Where did he get the kidney?
He's a medical student. Maybe he took it from the morgue or, from the hospital he worked in. So on November 9th, the fifth and final victim of the Canonical Five, her name was Mary Kelly. She was found dead in her own bed because the landlord's assistant came to her house to collect the rent. And when she didn't answer the door, they went in her house and she was dead in her bed. But this was a lot more messed up than the other ones. She was disemboweled and skinned.
A whole body or a part of it?
I don't know. I just read that she was skinned.
Jeez.
Which is really rough and pretty crazy.
Why?
No.
As someone that's pretty lazy, why would you go through, why would you go through all that?
Why? What do you mean lazy?
I'm lazy.
Oh, but Jack's not lazy.
You just get the job done with the least resistance possible.
Well, Jack's not lazy, clearly.
No, he's an overachiever,
But this is crazy. She was skinned. That's horrible. So now,
did he take the skin with him?
No. Mm-mm.
He left it there.
He left it, yeah.
Chill.
So now all these murders happened within a really short time. And as police are investigating, they're searching for all the eyewitnesses they can find. And after interviewing tons and tons of people, they narrowed down to this one description. They decided that Jack the Ripper was male, 25 to 35 years old, 5'5" to 5'7", stocky, pale with a mustache.
How'd they get stocky? Nobody saw
stocky.
him. But nobody saw him.
No, they do have eyewitnesses of people seeing people in the area at the time. They'll see a guy walk down the street and then 5 minutes later a murder happens.
Okay.
So they're getting this description based on all these eyewitness accounts. So stocky, pale with a mustache, and wearing a dark overcoat and a dark top hat.
I knew there were top hats back then. Everyone had a damn top hat. Some of the descriptions are obvious because if someone's a serial killer, they're probably a white dude. They give us a bad name. Gotta chill out. Except the black dude who had the record.
Oh, Sam
that
Little.
That just got caught.
Yeah. Well, no, he just died. He got caught a while ago.
Oh, he died.
Yeah,
I thought
Sam
he got
Little.
Caught.
Yeah, he was black dude. There has been some black people, black serial killers, male serial killers. But yes, it's definitely more often than not
that dude
white
set the record.
Man, yeah.
I mean, we don't know. Probably whoever was the best serial killer probably set the record because they haven't been caught.
Yeah, probably. The other thing is, this describes most men in the area, which is kind of scary because that means that someone who's capable of these disgusting crimes looks like everybody else and looks pretty normal and regular. And it's probably hard to investigate.
Most people fall into a category of normalcy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. If you look at other serial killers throughout time, they looked relatively normal. Besides Richard Ramirez, he looked creepy. Well, he was scary looking.
That dude looked like he ate rotten doo-doo with his teeth.
Ugh, he was gross. So it's been over 125 years, and this case remains officially unsolved. There are tons and tons and tons of Jack the Ripper suspects, literally over 100. And some are actually really plausible, but some are completely ridiculous. And over the years, people have proposed all these different theories, but I'm just going to tell you the top 3 suspects in the Jack the Ripper case.
Why do you think that people want to go back and solve a crime from 100 years ago for people they don't know, and if they find out who did it, well, they can't because there's no DNA stuff doesn't work, and they can't arrest the person that did it.
I think it's just because people want it solved. Like, it's like a mystery, you know?
You people have too much time on your hands.
Well, a lot of
do something that you could like actually like go try to solve something that happened 20 years ago, or like.
Yeah. I mean, I think people are just stumped by this because it's crazy that it was never solved. And, you know, he wrote letters to the media and it's become so sensationalized and they just really want to find who it was. I think it just really fascinates people.
Yeah, they have too much time on their hands.
Okay.
They're
well,
probably collecting unemployment and stimuluses and stuff, just sitting home.
Not necessarily. So I'm going to tell you the top 3, okay? So number 3 was a guy named George Chapman, and he came to the UK in the 1887. He was a known con man, and he poisoned 3 of his wives. So he was put to death in 1903 for poisoning
Serial
his wives.
killer.
He lived in the area of the murders, right in the area, because it was only like a few block radius that all these murders happened.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many people do you have to kill to be considered a serial killer?
More than 2.
So 3.
Yeah, I think once you kill 2 with the same MO, then you're considered a serial killer because you've killed another person with the same motive or modus operandi as the first person.
That word hurt my brain, but go ahead.
So, anyway, he lived in the area of the murders. And some people who knew him say that he had medical knowledge, but no one knows the extent of his medical knowledge or why he had it. He was also a con man, so like he might have lied and said that he was a doctor or something. So the people who don't buy this theory of this guy being Jack the Ripper, they don't buy it because they say that serial killers don't typically change their modus operandi. So modus operandi, MO, have you ever heard the term MO? It's the way you carry out a killing.
Like your MO is like your style.
Yeah. So
like, oh, that, like if I'm like, I don't know, if I wear cool sneakers and stuff and all of a sudden I'm wearing some bummy ass sneakers, they're like, oh, that's not his MO. Why is he wearing that trash?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, swag.
Yeah. So the guy went from poisoning 3 women to slashing them and disemboweling them, and one of them he skinned.
It's not him, you know why?
Why?
Because poisoning people is a lazy killer. And when you're like skinning people, like that's
crazy.
Yeah, like that's a whole nother ball game. Like you're a passive killer. Like you just don't want them around no more. So you put a little magic stuff in their drink and you finish them.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't buy that this guy was Jack the Ripper, but he's in the top 3 suspects. I guess because of where he was at the time. He had killed 3 women before this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So number 2, Francis Tubblety. Also a confidence man, a con artist. He traveled all over the US and Europe pretending to be a doctor. He was known to have hated women and actually had, this is crazy, he had a collection of uteruses in his house.
Where'd he get them from?
I don't know.
There's no uterus factory.
He was a con man who posed as a doctor.
All right,
so
well,
where did he get them from?
That's suspicious because there was no surgery back then.
Yes, there was surgery back then.
Yeah, but not like good surgery. They might cut your arm off or something.
They still did surgeries, Russ.
They didn't take out your appendix or something. They didn't know even what...
No, I think they did. They had surgeries back then.
They didn't even know about germs.
Yes, they did.
No, there were plagues and stuff after that.
After? No, there was...
This was 1880, you said?
1880, yes. They had surgery back then.
No way.
So in late November of 1888, after being named a prime suspect, he fled Europe. He was later found living right here in New York City. Lucky us, right?
He might be my uncle.
But after arriving here, they lost track of him, and he's never been seen again.
And he opened a pizza shop.
So he's definitely, that's a pretty decent suspect, I would say.
Well, he's definitely dead.
At this point, yeah, he's definitely dead.
Yeah, that's true because if you do the math. Well, they say bodies expire at 120 years. So, like, the maximum someone can live with no chemicals, no nothing, if everything went perfect, would be 120.
Which is over. He's dead.
Yeah.
But he was never seen again. He fled Europe when he was named the prime suspect at the time. That's pretty suspicious.
But back then, because they didn't have science, I would have left too, even if I didn't do it. Because they could it's like a witch hunt. They could be like, he did it, and then the mob goes, rubble, 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 rubble. And next thing, they're burning you at the stake.
Well, that's true.
But it's a good shot. He did it too.
Yeah, he had a collection of uteruses, let's not forget.
And he
posed
did he display them?
No, he had them in his house.
Where did he put them?
In his house. I don't know how they had them, how he had them.
I have a display, like, you put a picture up.
I don't know how he had them. I just know he had a collection of them. The cops found it in his house.
Because you don't collect things unless you're proud of them.
Well, I don't know.
Like, you have Wizard of Oz, and I have these, like... and I have a Hulk Hogan thing. I like Hulk Hogan.
Yes. So I don't know. Maybe he had a shelf with his uteruses on it. I have no idea.
That'd be crazy.
So now, the number one suspect in the Jack the Ripper case is a man named Aaron Kaumininski. I think that's how you say it. He was a 23-year-old Polish dude who moved to England and worked as a barber. In 1891, he was declared insane and thrown into an asylum. He was named the suspect because he had hatred for women and he had a lot of homicidal tendencies. And they found this out, when he was declared insane, that he was really, really homicidal. He strongly resembled a man who ran from police near the scene of one of the crimes. FBI criminal profilers claim he met the criteria of a serial killer based on his history, the way he was acting. FBI profilers now, they look back at this case and they analyze him as a person and they claim that he has, the tendencies of a serial killer. Also, he lived only a few blocks from where the crimes were committed.
What were his tendencies?
Because he had homicidal tendencies. He was nuts. He fit the description of the person who committed the crime, and then he was thrown into a mental institution.
So he acted like he was from the Bronx.
People from the Bronx aren't homicidal all the time.
Yeah, but we could get the 0 to 100 real quick.
True. So now this is really interesting, okay? Remember I told you earlier in the story about a piece of fabric, and it's the only physical evidence in this case. Remember I told you about that?
Yep.
Well, it was a piece of one of the victim's aprons. It was taken...
to the DNA shop.
No. It was taken by one of the police officers, and he gave it to his wife. His wife then put it in a box and hid it for years and years. And eventually, it was auctioned off. Finally, an author, later down the line, like in the last couple of years, I think in 2014, an author, he got a hold of this fabric and he wanted to do DNA evidence. He wanted to obtain DNA evidence from it.
This is why I need the DNA shop. If you're new here, I'm going to open a place called DNA Shop. We have 24 turnaround on DNA and fingerprints. We would have got this.
Well, the author got a hold of it. He obtained blood and semen samples from the fabric. Okay?
It's still there? It doesn't, die?
It didn't. Yeah, it was still there. He compared these samples to the descendants of both the victim and of Aaron Kaumininski.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They're descendants. So they're like child, right? For a long time.
See, now we have science.
For a long time, and still today, people believe this case is closed. Based on this, they believe that the DNA evidence proves that Aaron Kaumininski was the killer, was Jack the Ripper. But a number of scientists have spoken out and said that this DNA evidence isn't exactly accurate, and we can't close this case.
Wait, so the DNA evidence that this guy got said that Kaumininski...
Yeah. Aaron Kaumininski,
AK, was his.
So how it worked is the semen found on the fabric matched the DNA in that semen. Apparently matched one of Aaron's descendants.
But did it match all of them?
But these scientists nowadays say that it can't be thought without a shadow of a doubt because the DNA strand that they're claiming matches could have matched a ton of different people in England at the time. So there's a lot of controversy and back and forth about if this case is actually closed, because in 2014, this author, he got them to do this DNA, these scientists to put it through a crime lab and do this DNA testing on it. And everyone thought, oh my gosh, it's been solved. Yay. But then a bunch of other scientists came out and they're like, no, you didn't really do it correctly. It needs to be peer reviewed. Like, you can't just claim this is it because it's not really completely it.
I think these scientists are wasting their time.
Well,
they should go create a vaccine for coronavirus or something at this point. Like, you're over here.
Well, this was 2014.
Looking at old jizz, crusty jizz on a little rag. Like, you found a cum rag in the street and now you.
Well, I'm sure the author.
And you're not going to arrest the dude who did it.
I'm sure the author paid the scientists to do it. So they did it as a job. The author paid them so he could write a book about it and claim that he's the one that solved the Jack the Murder crime.
People have some weird life goals.
Well,
what are you accomplishing, bro?
He wanted to sell books. If you solved,
but now if you're making money,
that's what I just said. He paid these scientists so he could write a book claiming that he solved the Jack the Ripper murder, and he could make money off of it.
I have an idea. So if anyone out here is an author, we could solve the case together. It'll be easy.
Well, how could it be easy?
DNA shop.
Shut up.
24-hour turnaround. Hit me up, or we could just make something up. No one listens. Not enough people listen to this podcast for this to get out like this. We'll sell like 1 million books.
Anyway,
hit me up. I changed my name on Instagram just because I thought it was funny. Hit me up if you can find it.
Well, those are the top 3 suspects. So what do you think? Who do you think? Do you think that it was the con man who had poisoned 3 of his wives? I don't think so. I don't think it was that guy.
It was one of the 2.
One of the top 2, right? Francis.
Well, obviously. Well, you know what? It could have been none of them. But out of the ones you told me, it could have been one of the 2. The first one you told me, the third suspect or whatever.
No, the third one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he just poisoned his wives. I don't think he would go from poisoning to slashing people.
Yeah, he was a lazy killer. Like, he's the type of killer most people would be. Like, you'd be like, let's just pour a little something in this drink. She's getting on my damn nerves. That's like probably how you would kill me.
I would not kill you.
No, but, well, like I've said in previous episodes, you're just killing me slowly for the rest of my life.
What about the dude with the uteruses in his house?
Oh, the uterus trophies.
Yeah.
So
it has to be. It could possibly be one of the top 2.
I don't know who did it.
So it's been 125 years. We still don't know the identity of the most infamous serial killer of all time, and we probably never will.
We should solve crimes from today.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are just interested in this one because of it being from so long ago and never solved.
Yeah. I only want to solve cases that I think the people might be alive so I could punish them.
I get that.
Don't waste your time.
All right. Well, that's the story of Jack the Ripper, the most famous serial killer in history.
Yeah. And check us out at Wife of Crime Pod on Instagram. And we got a bunch. So we got wifeofcrime.com. We got the Patreon.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on now.
You know how to do it. Check Facebook, type all that stuff in, and hit us up.
We post a lot of memes. I try to be funny with my memes. It takes me a while to pick good ones.
I always tell Jess, that's not it. She throws like 3 or 4 womp womps, so I'm like, all right, you got it.
No, people think I'm funny.
Only your mom.
No, people think I'm funny.
No one has ever said Jess is funny. Let us know if you think Jess is funny. Because Jess, you know what Jess thinks is funny? If words rhyme.
I love puns.
She's like, oh, that rhymed. It's so funny. I'm like, what? She'd be like, poop and scoop. Oh, my God.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Thanks for tuning back in. See you later.
Peace.